For as many prominent indie hits that blow up on release, there are just as many, if not more, that emerge with not all that much fanfare by comparison. This is sadly the reality of the current gaming landscape, in which the sheer frequency of releases is absolutely overwhelming. That notion somewhat applies to the CryoGX developed 2D platformer Advent Neon, which I never heard about until a social media post about its launch went semi-viral. However, this title has been in development for several years and apparently has roots in the modding scene of Friday Night Funkin', an area I have literally no knowledge of. Regardless, seeing the launch trailer for Advent Neon ignited my interest, as it boasted compelling, fast-paced action, and after playing it, I'm sincerely hoping it reaches the vast audience it has the potential to capture. Advent Neon follows the titular Neon, a digital being aiming to retrieve the stolen body of its creator, Oganesson, in the setting of Neopolis. Right from the start, Neon allies with various characters while attempting to appease the antagonistic Franca, can seemingly cheat death, potentially aiding Oganesson. The plan here is to destroy reactors in the outer districts to achieve said feat. To be candid, the plot of Advent Neon is undeniably where it's at its weakest, though not because it's an outright inherent negative. To elaborate, this title's swift gameplay pacing also impacts its storytelling, with the core premise, character introductions, and exchanges communicated at a breakneck pace. Consequently, I never became intensely invested in the narrative here. But not only is that not the central appeal of Advent Neon, the cast is a tad memorable if you take the time to speak to them outside of mandatory scenes. Further, part of me appreciated the rapid pacing, as the manner in which Neon briskly approaches the intended goal feels more cohesive with the characterization in place, rather than taking the time to meticulously highlight everyone individually. That approach just doesn't seem like it would fit this title. Still, a lack of attachment to the cause and cast was felt. Gameplay-wise, Advent Neon is initially overwhelming, with an intimidatingly high skill ceiling, but it all clicks into place after enough practice, revealing meticulously crafted movement, speed, and level design. Put simply, Neon is capable of running at blinding speeds, with the core part of the moveset being 8-way dashing. This maneuver is crucial for navigating the level design, which is consistently varied, featuring lengthy hazards and numerous enemies. Getting a grasp on Neon's inherent agility here is paramount to success, and given my affinity for speed-induced platformers, I fell in love after only a few stages. A training room is also available to solidify the controls further should it be necessary. Button remapping and in-game speed toggles are options too. It's difficult to explicitly describe just how innately cathartic Advent Neon is to control. Movement is impressively tight and responsive no matter how swift your running speed becomes. There's a fluidity here that truly has to be experienced to be believed, and the overall design expertly complements Neon's capabilities. Making this particular matter even stronger is how each new area introduces new mechanics and ideas that don't feel tacked on for the sake of artificial variety. Between rapid-fire mini-puzzles to precision time-based platforming, no facet needlessly impedes the continuously nimble strides. Advent Neon also has another avenue of focus that rivals its platforming presence: combat. Admittedly, whenever a platformer attempts to emphasize combat, it can be rather hit and miss. Trying to manage the rate of platforming in a way that cohesively integrates it with battles is a difficult feat to pull off, but Advent Neon manages to do just that. Neon's combat system is touted as featuring a full platform fighter's moveset, which isn't inaccurate. If you've played Smash Brothers or the like, then Advent Neon's game feel in this regard is not entirely dissimilar. Compared to the general movement, which can take some getting used to, fights in Advent Neon were personally more intuitive. You're able to perform quick punches, cancel attacks, execute the aforementioned 8-way dashing to dodge incoming strikes, parry, and even perform break attack, boasting a considerably sized hitbox. Then there are purchasable upgrades you can earn from the in-game shop using the currency gathered in stages, which all bolsters the relative simplicity with meaningful add-ons. These enhancements tend to increase the efficacy of Neon's base moves, though there are also several cosmetic variations if that type of alteration is more your style. One of the major continually updated resources in Advent Neon is Res, a percentage that increases with the success of more attacks. The critical hit chance expands as this percentage rises, with a powerful transformation state occurring once it reaches 100%. This modification is quite formidable, being well worth the effort to actualize, though falling into a pit or the like renders it ineffective, making it a risky form to rely on. This notion perfectly embodies the high-risk, high-reward philosophy of Advent Neon's design intentions. Arguably my favorite element of Advent Neon's gameplay is rooted in the perfect dodging mechanic. When you time your dodges just right, time will freeze briefly, enabling you to deal significant damage in your vicinity while occasionally applying notable collision that can send the impacted foes flying. The utter satisfaction embedded within this technique is what sold me on the combat to begin with, and it's at the core of what kept me engaged. Of course, the nature of this ability is high risk, as waiting too long to perform a dodge can result in received damage depending on context, but I couldn't help but consistently try it out, especially during boss battles. Speaking of, bosses are another highlight of Advent Neon, each being fairly challenging and memorable due to their unique movesets. Alongside multiple phases, every one of the handful of bosses employs distinctive attack types requiring unique applications of the 8-way dodging. There's a fair and respectable degree of rigor across these encounters, ensuring memorability. The preceding room layouts and ambiance of the battles themselves reminded me of Mega Man and Gunvolt especially, so perhaps there was some inspiration there. One aspect in which I wasn't quite a fan of Advent Neon though is the UI. While the health bar and shield gauges are relatively self-explanatory, with the latter ensuring you can't spam dashes ceaselessly, the general communication of the mission-specific objectives and level completion results screens is clunkier in layout than I would have liked. Plus, on an equally minor note, the one level mechanic that felt lesser than the others was when Neon would soar across the screen mid-air, changing up the moveset for a brief while. I found these instances to be significantly more lenient and thereby less of a hurdle than the rest of the game, which felt somewhat jarring. Still, this mechanic only presents itself a couple of times. It's easy to overlook or even just not know of quality game releases when they're not from leading developers and publishers, but seeking out these ambitious, fresh outings from the medium is crucial in maintaining a healthy, genuine interest. Doing so bolsters a honed intrigue that doesn't succumb to overexposure to high-budget experiences, which are often perceived as playing it safe. Advent Neon is an intensely fast-paced platforming masterclass that certainly won't cater to general fans of the genre. Those yearning for a take on this category of gaming birthed from an undeniably passionate love for its roots and subsequent iterations should absolutely pick it up. As it stands, Advent Neon is a must-play for dedicated platforming enthusiasts thanks to its immaculate movement, fair sense of challenge, and catchy soundtrack. It's easily one of my top games of the year, and it deserves to be one of yours too. Noisy Pixel is giving Advent Neon a 9 out of 10. Thanks for watching. This video is brought to you by our supporters on Patreon. Noisy Pixel is run by a group of gamers providing independent gaming coverage through news, reviews, previews, and more. Check out our Patreon to help support our continued growth and subscribe to keep up with all of our future content.
Noisy Pixel.